The animations that we've created up to this point are all non-interactive animations. That means they're just going to start when the window is loaded and continue on. In the Triggers Inspector, there's a window-loaded event trigger, and when you click on it, you'll see that it says that when the window is loaded, the Simple Move timeline will begin. I'm going to actually delete the Simple Move timeline, and we're going to create some new timelines. The first timeline I'm going to create is Move to Red. This timeline is going to tell the sphere to move closer to the red number 1 control after 3 seconds. So I'm going to advance the playhead to 3 and move the sphere. I'm going to create another timeline, move to blue, and do the same thing. Finally, one more, moving to green, and repeat the process. Now this time, I forgot to move the playhead to 3, but that can be easily remedied by just clicking and dragging the keyframe to the desired time. Now I've created 3 different timelines, all of which move the ball to a different location. I'm going to create event triggers on the 3 controls, 1, 2, and 3, to start their own animation. So I'm going to first select my number 1 control and add an event trigger to it. Now by default, the event trigger says when window is loaded. I'm going to first drop down this field to choose the number 1 element, and then the event we're looking for in the second field is mouse enter. I'll just drag through the list to locate it. Now, when number 1 has the mouse enter it, I'm going to press this play button to add an action, and I want the Move to Red timeline to begin. Similarly, I'm now going to select number 2, add an event trigger to it, and when number 2 has the mouse enter, I want the Move to Blue timeline to begin. The same behavior with event 3. You'll notice when I drop down the box this time, it only displayed window and number 2. Whenever this box is dropped down, it will only show the currently selected element and its parent container. Since number 3 is not selected, it doesn't appear in the box, but just clicking on number 3 will now put it in the box so I can have the event occur on it. Now let's take a look at what happens when I run the application. The ball started moving directly to the green. I'll show you why that happened in a moment. Now when I move to the blue button, the ball moves over to the blue position. When I move over to red, it does the same. If I happen to move somewhere, say to the green, and then move to the blue before it's completed, you'll see that the ball changes its direction and moves. Let me explain why that happened. This type of animation is called a handoff animation. If we look in the timeline, we see that we've established keyframes at time 3, but no starting keyframes. This means that when this timeline plays, I don't care where the sphere is at the start of the animation. I just care that after 3 seconds, the sphere is at the specified location. So when the sphere was moving from the number 1 control to the number 3 control, the Move to Blue timeline caused it to stop wherever it was and immediately start moving towards the number 2. You also notice that when the window came up, the Move to Green animation started immediately. Let's take a look at why that happened. In the Trigger Inspector, in addition to all of our mouse enter events, there's a window loaded event. By default, when a window is loaded, it will start every timeline in your project. Since these 3 timelines all affect the same properties, only the final timeline actually has its effects displayed. So Move to Red begins, Move to Blue begins, and at the end, Move to Green begins. Since we don't want these, I can click the minus buttons to delete all 3 of those actions. So now when I press F5 to run the application, the ball is stationary until I cause one of the animations to start.